Hey, yo. This is Joey Conway, the cause of it all. I am as above, so be. And hey, we're over here drinking at Moe's. It's whiskey.
All right, everybody. Want to thank the sponsor today, Reaper Apparel. Want to encourage everybody to break out of the comfort zone, live their best self, which I very much support. They got great apparel, hats, shirts, beanies, hoodies, all that good shit. Be sure when you go on to reaperapparel.com, use the code DRINKIN for 10% off your order. Let's fucking go. All right, everybody. Welcome, Drinkin' to Moe's. Big Mo here. Be sure YouTube, like, subscribe, comment, share, all that good shit, because that YouTube algorithm's a pain in the ass. We are on pretty much most places you can find your podcast. Most popular, Spotify, Apple. We're on Anchor. All that out of the way. Today, I have with me Joey Conway. Pretty damn excited. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Oh, I can't complain. I had a pretty decent weekend this last weekend, getting to go to a show for Sami Callihan's promotion, Wrestling Revolver, out in Des Moines. Got to see some pretty amazing matches. I'm a bit of a wrestling figure collector. I like to get them signed whenever possible, and I got 3 signed at the show, so pretty excited about that.
Can't beat that. Sounds like a good day at the wrestling.
Oh yeah, got one signed by Kushida, who I was excited to see wrestle Jonathan Gresham that night.
The match must have been sick.
Oh man, it was amazing. And then I got one signed by both Taya Valkyrie and John Morrison, or as he went by that night, Johnny Revolver.
You gotta love it.
Oh yeah, this is very unique how they get that going pretty much anywhere. But first thing I like to start off with everybody with is what got you started as a fan, and then what got you started deciding to make the leap into the ring, because everybody's got their own story.
Of course. So as a fan, I started basically as I was born. My dad was a big fan. My dad was big into boxing. My grandfather was a Golden Glove boxer. So he got into boxing, got into wrestling. And then he got my brother, who's 4 years older than me, into wrestling. So my brother on Saturday mornings would be watching wrestling. And I'm a little infant, little child, little baby. And so every Saturday I would watch wrestling, and I just loved it. I fell in love. And, as I'm sure most of us from a lot of indie guys, or wrestling guys or girls or whatever, we all, our love gets too much. And that happened to me around college. When I'm trying to figure out what I want to do, when I'm trying to figure out where I'm at. And again, my brother screws me over. He calls me one day. I'm taking like an English test or something, like some class. I didn't need, but I needed to do for I got to get the credits. And he calls me, and I see him calling me. So I laugh about it, and I just get up and I walk out of this test. And he goes, "Hey man, I just got cool tickets to SmackDown." And I'm like, "Oh, all right." And I think SmackDowns were taped on Thursdays at that point. And it was Thursday. And it was that night. So I walked back in, gathered my stuff, and I looked at my professor, and I was like, "I'm gone. Have a good one." And I didn't care. I don't know why. I don't know what happened. What kind of kids don't do that at all. Don't follow what I did. But I ended up, I went to SmackDown, and that believe it or not, that night on my car was a club card for a local promotion called NYWC, and on the back was a training facility piece. And I looked at it and I was like, hey man, like this looks cool. Like I've always wanted to do this. And you know, if you rewind back when I was in high school, I'm gonna date myself a little bit, but you know, we didn't have Google, believe it or not. We had Jeeves. So
I remember them.
Every summer vacation, school would be out. First thing I would do, and I would start looking up pro wrestling schools. How do I become a pro wrestler? How do I become at the time only WWE existed really. You know, Impact wasn't as big as it would become shortly after. And so I was like, how do I become a WWE superstar? You know, it was all constantly looking that up, and I never found anything. The only places I found I would drive to, and they were closed. Turns out it was like NYWC, where NYWC used to be. And so I saw that club card. We ended up going to that independent show. And then I think like a month later, WWE came back around for some reason for like a house show. And they had Shawn Michaels signing at a local mall. And sure enough, I'm standing online. Somebody comes by handing out club cards again. And it was that club card, same one, different show, about a month, 2 months later. And I was like, man, you know what? I'm taking this as a sign. I really got to do this. So we went to that show again. And a kid I went to high school with was on that show. And I was like, what are you doing here? He's like, hey man, I wrestle. And then, you know, that kid ends up being Alex Reynolds from AEW. And he was one of the trainers there. He told me all the stuff, how to get involved, who to talk to, who to do that. So you know, this is a little long-winded, but that's how I ended up getting into the business.
Hey, no, I love hearing the stories. And you know, it's kind of nice in your aspect where you had multiple people in your family that were into it. When you know, people like me I remember I happened to end up watching it, I think at one of my uncle's places. He was watching it and got hooked on it then from guys like Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, the Legion of Doom, those guys. And I was the only one that really stuck with it in the family. But I remember, maybe dating myself here too, but I remember I grew up in a Catholic family. They put me in a Catholic school, and you know, mass on Saturdays happened to be most of the time right when WCW Saturday night was. And I remember every week hoping, please, can we just skip this week? Please skip. Every week just hoping so I could watch WCW Saturday night, you know.
That's awesome. Yeah, I did get lucky, man. If my family, you know, didn't get me into it, luckily, you know, when I you know, was growing up, wrestling was the hottest it had ever been. And you know, I was before the Attitude Era, and then obviously during the Attitude Era, I was a kid still, but I got to watch the Attitude Era, and the wars, the Monday Night Wars were
yeah.
My brother would have, you know, we didn't have, I didn't grow up with a lot of money, but eventually, you know, my parents, you know, my dad worked his ass off. He worked, you know, 3 jobs. My mom worked, and eventually they like, I think for our like 10th birthdays, they would buy us like a TV or something like that. And it was like a small little guy, and I would have the WWF on, and he would have WCW on. I'd be like, "What's going on in your room? What's going on?" And we would just jump back and forth between who had what going on. And like we were just diehard fans. And you know, luckily I had some friends that were big into wrestling, and their parents were. So they would buy the reviews, and we'd go over there and we'd eat all their snacks, and we'd watch all the pay-per-views.
Oh man, you know, jumping into the pay-per-views, I never actually got to see a live, like as it's happening one, until literally WrestleMania 20. Did not have the money for the pay-per-views, but I was in college. I was in college for the Navy, and we were in some class project, and I had to go bring one of the persons I was in a group with. Is like, hey, you're into wrestling, right? I'm like, yeah. They're showing WrestleMania at Hooters. You want to go? I'm like, hell yeah, I do.
Yeah, hell yeah. You dude, that's the first one I bought. Legitimately, as my dog's going off. That's the first one I went and I worked. And I worked overtime and I went nuts and I picked up as many hours as I could. And that was the first one I bought. Now I'll go back and I'll rephrase what I said before. My friend's parents never bought a pay-per-view. They had that secret illegal box. That ruled. That was the best thing in the world. But that was the first one. I remember like vividly. My brother was coming home from work, and we were still at my parents' house. And you know, he was a lifeguard, and he worked at like an indoor pool. And I remember I'd called him, and because text messaging wasn't a thing really, you had to call people, and like that was very expensive. So I called him. I was like, hey, his favorite wrestler was Kane. I'm like, Undertaker's fighting Kane, man. And he's like, what? What do you mean? And I'm like, yeah, Undertaker's fighting Kane. And he's like, I gotta get home. I gotta. So he like switched his later shift because he worked at double. He switched like the late half of his other shift, and he runs home, and it had just started. And he hops in the shower, and he goes, if either of their music's hit, call me. So I'm banging on the door, on the bathroom door. I'm like, it's starting. Oh, we were crazy for it, man.
Oh,
it was such a crazy time.
Oh man, I remember that one. How everybody was hyped up because Undertaker was kind of doing his mind games with Kane, and he was gonna. Everybody was like, "Oh man, is he gonna come back as the American Badass, or is he gonna come back as the Dead Man?" And he comes out and Paul Bearer and like all that.
One of the coolest entrances of all time.
Oh man. And I don't know if a lot of people noticed it, but I know I did, where before he had that little break of his in between that, how he lost that buried alive match, I believe it was, and he comes back out, and I'm looking at him like, dude, it looks like he's still got dirt on him.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
I did, and I'm like, holy shit, that's fucking awesome.
If that's true, that's so cool. That's such a little thing that rules. That's even better.
Oh man, I swear I remember seeing, it looked like he had like dirt spread on him somewhere. I'm like, oh my god, that is badass.
That's awesome. That's my fiance upstairs, and my dog's going bananas right now.
Oh, but one of mine is too. My wife and I, we got a English Bulldog and a Great Dane puppy that's about 7-8 months old right now. So she's out wandering around right now, and I got to keep an eye on her so she doesn't try to drink out of the sink.
Oh yeah, right into the sink. You got monsters.
She ain't to the point where she can just stand on all fours and get in there, but she can definitely get those two front legs up there and start. So I'm constantly on watch for that one, but
I
was gonna talk a little bit about independent wrestling. It seems to have had like two meccas. It's always been East Coast, kind of West Coast, and Midwest. We're kind of starting to get our own little bit in there. We got starting to blow up a little bit. I mean, even here, I live in Omaha. We got we got our own little hub right here. And, you know, I got started on independent wrestling on the West Coast when I was in the Navy. I just happened to Google pro wrestling in San Diego, and then there it was. But what is it kind of like? You know, you're more there East Coast, right? And, you know, you mentioned NYWC, and I'm hearing a lot about them from guys like Matt Cardona, the SATs, and some other guys that's like they got a pretty good thing going there. But, you know, East Coast, it's like it's all over that way.
There's a lot, man. It's so, for years it was the Northeast. The Northeast was just, if you were working in the Northeast, you were blowing up. It doesn't matter what you were doing, you were blowing up. And you know, I'm a you know, Florida guy, but I ended up in New York, right in Long Island, and that's where I ended up training. And I would watch all my friends just start. They would go to Beyond. They would go to Pro Wrestling Magic at the time wasn't really like crazy as it is now, I don't think. But I remember what's the one in Maine? Oh my God, there's one up in Maine that they would all go to, but it was all Northeast was just huge. Jersey All Pro was big. CZW was big. You know, companies were just exploding. And then out of nowhere, you know, places in Florida started popping up. Places in North Carolina started popping up. And, you know, and Ring of Honor would run all of these places up and down the East Coast, all over the place. They would do these 3-show tours, 4-show tours. I'm watching all my friends get on this stuff, and I'm like, this is insane. And then I start hearing, you know, oh, there's way more out in California going on. I'm like, oh yeah? So I start looking that up. And then sure enough, they have literally they're like mimicking what we're doing here, like on the opposite side. And we don't know them, they don't know us, but you know, freaking YouTube up and now knows everyone. And
I know West Coast. Man. Oh yeah. West Coast, I got started on it down in like San Diego, Oceanside area. And then, I mean, you go from there all the way up to LA, there's just countless.
Insane. I'm trying to get out there so bad this year. So I've been sending out feeler emails and sending out some stuff because that's a big goal of mine to get out there.
Oh, I can imagine. I mean, hell, they're going to be pretty busy over that way here in just a couple weeks.
Yeah.
With everything they got going on for WrestleMania week. They got, you know, GCW doing the collective and all those shows going on. It's going to be insane. I had people, I mean, I still do have people out there in the wrestling scene that were telling me, like, dude, you should come out. You know, all you got to do is get a plane ticket. And I'm like, damn, you make a tempting offer.
Absolutely. That's pro wrestling though, in like a little like niche right there. They tempt you. They tempt you with every little bit.
Oh yeah. Nope. I definitely, speaking of that, I love telling the story. I have friends that they all throughout the Midwest here, all the way up as far as North Dakota. And a few years ago, you know, there was this promotion that they don't run anymore, but they did shows from like far up in like Minot all the way down to where was it? I'm pulling a brain fart on it, but it was a little bit further south down there. And I'm like, you know what? When's the next show you got going on over there? And made the trip, and I got the offer to be special guest ring announcer for my friend's match. And I'm like,
hell yeah.
You're telling me I get to be in the ring with a microphone?
Yeah. That's awesome.
And, oh man, ever since that moment, I've had the bug. Like, oh man, let me find a spot to be able to, even just for a match or two. I don't care.
I'll get you. It'll get you though. You be just a match or two. It won't be. It won't be at all.
No, yeah, it'll start at a match or two, but then it'll go to like, hey, give me till like intermission, or let me start after intermission, and then fuck, let me do the whole damn show.
Yeah, you'll get one. You'll get a bunch.
Oh yeah, totally. Well, speaking of one independent promotion that they're starting to pick back up, they had a little bit of a stutter there, but I kind of brought them up a little bit ago. The SATs, what their wrestling is now. You know,
Yes, sir.
You were featured there in that first show, and holy shit, that match against Njpw. I mean, good Lord, I don't know if I'd want to be standing across the ring from him. Monster of a dude, that guy.
He really is, man. He's an incredible athlete. I don't understand how those Samoan boys are made. That
they're a whole different animal, and it just seems like
they really are. It's insane. I was looking forward to that match. So like when they told me, they kind of like we happened to be on the same show. And they took a liking to me, and I love those boys. The SAT rule. They're not only are they incredible, literally fathers of the style of today, but they're also just great dudes, and they love wrestling. They want to improve wrestling and make wrestling better. That's why they call the promotion wrestling is now. But they come up to me and they start like screwing around with me, and then they go, hey, what do you think about working Njpw? And I'm like, I would love to. I would absolutely love to. I watch a lot of his stuff just because he's an incredible big man, and he just moves around. He glides around. I don't even see. He doesn't even move. He just glides. He's such an and I'm a big fan of a lot of the members of his family. They're incredible. Anybody who knows me knows I love Umaga. and they pitched that to me, and I was like, all right, cool. So I really got to step up my game. So I stepped up training. I stepped up my promos. I stepped up all my social media. I stepped up, and I tried to match a level I thought he could, that would be equivalent. And day of, he shows up, and I'm just like, God damn, this boy is huge. So now I got to step up again. And sure enough, we had a great match, man. That's what I'm real proud of that match. I'm real proud. Mostly, that whole show was built on our backs, and it was their first show right out the gate. So we went out, and I'm watching the whole show from behind the curtain, and I'm trying to I want to do different stuff. I want to be different, and I know the two of us can. We're not small. I'm not a small guy, and he's definitely not a small guy. And I'm like, we could do flip flop and fly. We could battle each other with some moonsaults and some crazy stuff. Sure enough, that's exactly what we did. And all the guys under 6 foot that did all the flippy stuff earlier, we're like, screw it, we're going. We hit 6th gear and we just went, man. I'm very proud of that match. And it not only was it a learning experience, as every match should be. It was I went into to prove to myself that I could be a main event player, especially in the Northeast. Like I said before, coming up, if you were able to main event in the Northeast, you were something. You were really something. And I really want to be something in this business. Obviously, what is it? I think it's Stone Cold always said it. It was if you don't want to be the world champion, what are you doing in this business?
You know what? I know I've heard that before, and I swear it might have came from Stone Cold too, but I think the first place I heard that phrase was when DDP was talking about an interaction he had with Dusty Rhodes, where he was like, he wasn't sure if he had it, and wasn't sure if he was, world champ material. And Dusty Rhodes literally told him to shut the hell up, basically. If you don't want to be world champ, then what the hell are you doing?
Yeah. Well, you know what? Then it's a Dusty saying, and I'm even more proud of that, because that I really, I've, especially in the last 2 years since the pandemic, or 3 years since the pandemic, I really said, I got hurt before the pandemic, in 2018, and I came back, and one of my first shows back was Evolve, and that was a huge goal of mine. I always wanted to wrestle for Evolve, and I wrestled for Evolve, and then between that time and the pandemic, I wrestled for a lot of incredible companies, and I worked for some awesome, some big name companies, and I felt like I had a stride, and I started kind of picking up steam, and then the pandemic hit, and just like when I got hurt, I felt like wrestling was taken away from me, and we were supposed to have that, was it 2 weeks and you'll be back to normal?
Yeah,
it was 2 more weeks, and it was 2 more weeks, and eventually it was indefinitely. And as soon as they said indefinitely, a pit in my stomach, and I realized, shoot, this is a real deal. And every day I would all I would do is watch wrestling, and I would study, and I'd practice promos, and I would watch acting things on YouTube, and try to find a character, try to find something that I attach myself to. And I bought all this random gym equipment. I started randomly working out in my backyard, and I wanted to push myself, but I couldn't push myself in ring, so I wanted to push myself in another way. And luckily, we were able to kind of come back within, I think it was like 3 months. We were able to get back in the gym, and I was able to get in the ring, and I was just blowing myself up, just dying, just killing myself every day, because I had lost what I loved. And not only what I loved, what I've been doing this 10 years now, so it was 7 then. For 7 years, what I thought I lived and breathed, and turns out I wasn't living nor breathing the business at that point. Now I am, and it's terrifying. But I came back wanting more, and demanding more of myself, which I never did before in anything. I played football. Yeah. I've played multiple sports. I did a bunch of stuff. I went to college, and like I said, I didn't really assert myself in there, into college. And this was this was it for me. I said I gotta give this a drive, and I really have to up my game. And that match was to me the proving point. And that's where I sat, and I was like, all right, this is it. If this goes, and I really, really knock this down and tear this roof off, I think I got something here. And I think we did. The match is on YouTube, and I hope that a lot of people appreciate that match and see what it is.
Oh yeah, I've absolutely loved it. And you talk about Jacob Fatu and his family. This next show for wrestling is now, you got somebody from another, to borrow from the start of Cody Rhodes's entrance music. Wrestling has more than one royal family. This next show, you have one of the other people in that match with you from another one of those royal families, Chavo Guerrero.
I'm pumped. I am pumped. I can't wait. Again, it's another one of those moments where I've upped my game now. I've upped my training. I've upped my gym. my workouts. I've upped, you know, again, my promos. I've worked hard since last month, since last week, since yesterday. I've worked hard, and you know, as soon as I'm done here, I'm going to the gym. Yesterday I trained. Tomorrow I'll train again. Every single day I'm either training or in the gym or both. You know, tomorrow I'll train. I'll go to the gym and then I'll go tan, because that's what we do as wrestlers. We can't be pasty out there unless we're Sheamus.
Yeah, he's probably one that can pull that off.
Yeah, it's terrible. He's also giant, so. But that's another one where I got to prove it to myself, you know, and I want to show the world that I'm not just an indie guy. I'm not just another Northeast indie guy. I want to be the best, man. I really truly do, and I really truly I want to be in the conversation. You know, a lot of people talk about like guys like Jordan Oliver and you know. I can list a litany of people, you know, Alec Price and all these guys, and I want to be in that conversation. And you know, not only do I want to be in that conversation, I want to be. I just mentioned Jordan Oliver first. I want to be that guy that everybody mentions first. And you know, I respect all of those dudes, and I have a it's a secret list, but I have a list of guys I want to work. That are on the independents, and obviously Jordan Oliver's on it, Alec Price is on it. You know, there's a list of guys like Rex Lawless. You know, like these are the top indie guys, especially in the Northeast.
Oh yeah,
and they have a lot of buzz behind them, and they have a lot of, you know, a lot of steam behind them, and I want that. I have that. I have like, again, I have this burning in my stomach that I just need more, and this has been going on now 3 years, and I still have this you know, this burn after the pandemic, and you know, I still want more, and I still need more.
Oh no, and that is definitely a good feeling and a good thing to have, because you know, it's that motivation, that sense of, you know, almost, I don't want to really say butterflies, but I imagine in the same vein of, I think I heard Road Warrior Animal talking about, you know, having the butterflies before you go out there being a good thing, because if you don't, the moment you don't have that anymore, you're probably hanging it up. And in the same vein of having that burning passion, same deal, I imagine, you know, having that keeping you going, and then the moment when you stop having it, it's probably that signal, I guess, that well, it's like guess time.
Yeah. You know, it's kind of funny because, like, again, before the pandemic, and I feel like for the rest of my life I'll always have a, you know, that moment. And you know, it's you have those pieces of the puzzle. You know, you start training, have your first match, you do this, you do that, you have your moments. And I feel like everybody who's lived through it, the pandemic was a moment in time that before the pandemic it was one thing, and now after the pandemic your life is different, you know. And I feel like that's just a thing that we're going to deal with, you know. And you know, it's something. And before the pandemic, coming into it, literally the last match I wrestled before New York closed was against James Storm, and I'm walking through and I didn't have butterflies. I felt confident, and I felt like I knew what I was doing. I felt like I was at the top of my game, and maybe I was at that point, but not having those butterflies and I remember thinking like, oh man, I feel ready for wrestling. This is weird. Like I don't have butterflies. I don't have anxiety walking through this curtain. And now I'm looking back on it and I'm like, oh man, I was just complacent. I wasn't going to get any better at all, you know, with that mindset. And now every time I walk through the curtain, I literally, like, I get dry mouth before I walk through the curtain. I have a giant water bottle that I drink at least half of before I walk through the curtain. I'm sitting behind the curtain while my music hits, and I'm chugging this water bottle, and I have to hold water in my mouth now because I have a pit in my stomach that is as soon as I get through that curtain, though, it's all gone. It's all gone. I become Joey Conway. I become the cause of it all. You know, but it's right. It's that threshold. As soon as I get through it, but now I have it, and it's I look forward. Like, again, this is another moment. I have chills thinking about every time I walk through the curtain. I get chills. I feel like it's I'm fighting for my life now, and I love that feeling. I really truly do love that feeling.
No, yeah, I know that time that I got to be the special guest ring announcer for the match. I mean, I knew my part in the show was just a small, very small little teeny thing. You know, I wasn't, you know, the one putting my body on the line there in the ring. But I remember they gave me a whole entrance and everything. And I'm like, before they announced me, I'm like pacing back and forth behind the curtain, like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Oh man.
Did you get to choose your music and stuff?
It was, I think we just went with what my friend's music was.
Cool.
So it was something I won't ever forget. And you know, you bring up, you know, wanting to get there, wanting to get on those big stages. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because I swear I saw this on, I'm wanting to say the Wrestling Is Now Facebook page, where WWE was up there in the New York area here recently, and somebody like freeze frame, like took a screenshot of Brock Lesnar throwing somebody around, and then they mentioned you in there, like that was you.
Yes,
and
sir.
Now, oh man, so like that's where a lot, like I hear, especially from guys I know here local to me, that's how a lot of people kind of get their foot in the door to some of those places. What was that like that night, being there and being a part of that?
Absolutely incredible. That company is a huge machine, and it runs like a Swiss watch, man. It literally, like, the minute you walk into the building, it's like go, and but it's everything's on time, everything's set, everything's ready, it's the most professional company I've ever worked for. Obviously, that's why it's for what, 80 something year, 90 years or something like that, or whatever the number. But everybody was so welcoming. You know, I think all of us have watched DVDs and watched all the you know, some shoot interviews and all this other stuff where, you know, that you get this mindset where, you know, they put their nose up and they you know, these guys are, we're gonna use them and abuse them. We don't care about them. I did not feel that way at all. I felt like I was part of the family as soon as I walked in the door. It was incredible. You know, I can't thank that company enough for that opportunity. It's something I've always wanted to do. I always wanted to work for that company, period, because I was WWF guy growing up. You know, me and my brother were both WWF guys, and you know, our neighbor was a WCW guy, and we were like, you don't know what you're talking about. That's not good. Now I'm watching it on the network, like whenever the network was at 2016 debuted or 2014, and I'm like, WCW ruled. I'm an idiot watching. But like, again, back to the Monday Night Wars. You know, one of us would have WCW on, and we would keep an ear out, because, you know, obviously, you know, Bret Hart's there, Goldberg. Oh man, Goldberg's cool. That's awesome. Kevin Nash, Scott Hall. That's awesome too.
Oh yeah.
So perfect. I got.
Oh yeah. But I remember back then, you know, I was thankful my remote had that last channel button, because I did go from Monday Night Raw and I turn it over on one of the commercials to Monday Nitro, and then periodically I just last channel, like constantly through. I wore the damn button out.
Yeah, oh yeah, that button had no writing on it. By like 3 weeks out, I was like, "Gah."
Yep. Oh
But
man,
that's man, that I can't, like I said, I can't say enough good stuff about that company. They treated me amazingly. On all of us. There was a lot of extras there that day, and they treated all of us so well. They were so welcoming to all of us, which was incredible. And I hope I get an opportunity to go back and work for them, soon.
oh that'll be awesome. I know. I'm wanting to say it was a year or so ago. My wife surprised me with tickets to SmackDown here in Omaha, and
Nice.
I'm like, I literally had no idea. I'm literally on my way home from work, and I get this Ticketmaster link on my phone. I'm like, I remember I
Oh no,
called
somebody.
up I called up my wife, and I'm like, what's this? It's like, oh, you're going to SmackDown. I'm like, what? But that night, I knew a couple people that ended up getting used on as extras there. It was like during the whole Sami Zayn Jackass feud, and
Oh,
there was an episode, the one where Sami Zayn was wanting to, jump the ring in a shopping cart. And I didn't know this until later, that the two guys that were used to push him down the aisle in the shopping cart were two local guys that I'm friends with. And I'm like, I remember afterwards I saw a screenshot of it and I kind of zoomed in. I'm like, holy shit, I know those guys.
that's awesome, man. Yeah, you always got to look out. Just keep an eye out for those extras, man. They're all guys like me, just trying to make it, trying to get our foot in the door, and and we're working hard. And I always, every time they show any extras, I'm like, who's there? Let me
Oh
see.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm totally that way myself. If I know that I know people in that area, I'm watching out like, oh man, backstage segment. Who's that? Do I recognize that guy?
Yeah, who's just walking in the back? You never know. It's such an awesome, like, I love doing it now, and like I try, and I've done this, like I said, I've done this for years. I try as hard as I can. I try to watch every piece of product, everything, from Raw, SmackDown, NXT, AEW, all of the AEW stuff, Dark Dynamite, the Rampage, the Dark Elevations, I try to watch every MLWs, NWAs. I feel like I have to be up on the product, and I try to watch everything. So anytime I get to see that stuff, I'm like, this is awesome. And I've watched Monday Night Raw. Again, I'm going to date myself since it started, but I always watch it with my brother. That's our Monday night gig, and I got to watch, every not every episode, but I watch not like 99.9% of the episodes with my brother, and that's a big thing for me. I'm a big family guy, and my brother was actually in the crowd, and was in the Barclays Center, and it was awesome, man. I literally, like, I didn't get to see him, but he texted me right after. He's like, "What the no." And I was like, hell yeah. So like we kind of watched Raw together that night too, but a little different.
Yeah, a little different that night, but still pretty cool, getting to have family there to watch a moment like that.
Yeah, it was awesome. And again, I can't say enough good stuff about that company. They everyone treated, like, I can't even say everyone treated me with respect. And well, like, again, I felt like a part of the family, and from then that goes from the tippity top to the guys that are that were being brought in from NXT, from the Performance Center stuff.
Yeah.
It's professional, and it's such a nice relief, because a lot of places, a lot of people this will get into a little bit of a inside baseball here, but a lot of people in this business, when they're, on the independents, they don't treat it like a business. They treat it like, we're just out here just to be friends. And I'm a business. Joey Conway is a business. I'm open 24/7. And I treat it like that. I really, truly try to treat it like that. And a lot of people don't, and they just like to have fun. And I'm having fun. I love wrestling, but there's a difference between having fun and do a business. And when it boils down to it, a lot of people don't. Now, I don't want to say a lot of people. Some people don't treat it as a business, and that company surely treats it as a business and is absolutely professional to the letter. It's awesome.
That's awesome. That's definitely awesome to know, because you always can be kind of curious. A promotion the size and the scope of WWE is like, how are they gonna view the independent guys that are coming in to do the extra work? Is it just like, oh, hey?
That's what I was worried about. I didn't want them sticking the nose up and then making me feel like, unwanted or unwelcome is probably the better word.
Yeah.
But and like I said, from the second I walked in the building, we're sitting online to get we had to go through security. From security, from jump, it was professional. Everybody treated you with respect, like you were a peer, not like you were just here to do some extra work and enhance, whoever, whatever you're doing for the evening, or if you're not doing anything, which is completely fine too. You're still being asked to show up for WWE, and that's huge. That was a huge moment for me.
Oh, I can imagine. Well, I have two categories that I like to kind of round off the show with. One's a bit of a name game, where I try to tailor it to the guests somewhat. Some of these people you've shared the ring with, other people, when doing my homework, they've I believe I was on the NYWC's internet page, and the roster, and I'd look and I'd pick one from there. And you give me your thoughts on the person,
Sure.
Just a little quick thing.
Sure. This might be a little dark.
First one kind of brought him up a little bit. Chavo Guerrero.
Incredible. So he was on that first win show, and he was sitting at the curtain with a bunch of other people when I was wrestling my match. And first person I walked into, actually, rewind a little bit, I lost that match. Sorry, I should have said spoiler alert, but I lost. And I'm sitting up against the ring, leaning up against the ring on the outside of the ring, and SAT comes out, Chavo Guerrero comes out, and they're having a beer in the ring, and someone pours a beer over the top rope on me. And I was like, what the son of a, what is happening? So I quickly scurried out. But I didn't go to the curtain right away, because I was hurting a little bit from that match, because it was a rough match. And so I kind of scurried off, and Virgil was there. So I kind of found my way to Virgil real quick. And everybody got back to the curtain, and I saw, a couple of people wanted to take pictures, so I took pictures. And then first person I saw when I got through the curtain was Chavo, and it was literally curtain Chavo. He was right there, and I was like, "Whoa, okay." He critiqued my match. He tore it apart and built it back up, and said all the things I shouldn't have done. Told me all the things I should do. Again, this is inside baseball, but it was awesome. I have nothing but respect for that man and his family. He's I was on a show with Vicky Guerrero, I believe last year, and the same. They just carry themselves with professionalism and respect, and he knows what he's doing. He knows better than anybody what he's doing, and for him to be there and critique one of my matches, it blew my mind. So that man is incredible. And I really truly can't wait to wrestle him, get an opportunity to step in a ring and stand across a ring from him and just look him in the eyes and see what that's like.
Oh, I can only imagine. Next one, Matt Cardona.
That man. He is wrestling for a title that I deserve on March 25th. And I don't seem to have a match that night. So I'm going to put him on notice. And
okay. That'll be interesting. I look forward to seeing how that turns out. I know you can give him a run for his money.
Yes, sir.
Next one, somebody that is their positivity is just infectious. Willow Nightingale.
Oh my gosh, that one, of course. She is truly one of my best friends in the world, and one of like a sounding board for me, and that's I haven't even touched the wrestling part of it. She's an incredible wrestler too. She is. Yeah, I can't wait to see what the future holds for her. I don't think there's a ceiling for her. I don't even want to say the stars are the sky's the limit. No, the stars aren't. The galaxy's not the limit. There's no limit for her.
I would have to agree. I'm a huge fan of hers. Hopefully someday get a talk to her. I know here in the 22nd, I wanted to say the 22nd. AEW is going to be in Independence, Missouri, right around Kansas City area, a couple hours from me. Okay. And a friend of mine, that used to live with my wife and me, his wife is giving him money to get tickets and asked me if I wanted to go with him. And I'm like, let me figure out my PTO, but yeah.
If I had more thumbs, I would give more thumbs up. Like I give it, and every time I do thumbs up, I think of Willow, of course, because.
Oh yeah, no, I remember getting to see her in this the debut of the new era of Ring of Honor, and I saw her come out. I'm like, dude, you can't help but smile when you see her coming out there.
You said the right word before, infectious. It really truly is, man. She has it. She has it.
That is true. That is definitely true. Last but not least on the little name game here, guy that popped up when doing my homework, a little video of a match you had with him, Matt Striker.
He is, I forgot how to phrase this. He is one of the smartest minds in this business. He truly is. It's insane. It's freaking insane. I know his character's a teacher because he really was a teacher, but he's just a student of the game. He studies everything. Whenever he's on whenever I'm on a card with him, or if I'm on a card and he just happens to be there and doing a signing or whatever, he watches the whole show. No matter what the show is, he watches the whole thing. And not only does he watch it, he studies it, and he gives you, critical, moments in your match, and he'll go over stuff with you every match. It's insane. He's such a nice person, and he'll probably hate that I just said that, but he really is. And he's an NYWC guy, just like I am. So and all those people, except for Chavo that you just named, I'm pretty sure are NYWC people.
Yeah, I'm one to say that's where I found all all but Chavo. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. At least Matt Cardona and Willow Nightingale were legit on the roster page right there.
Yeah, and Stryker is as well. Well, if he's not on the roster page, he should be. But he's also an NYWC guy. He helped train for a little while. It was awesome. It was incredible because I'm sitting there watching him going through, and you can see it in his eyes. His the gears turning, and I'm like, oh no, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? What are you thinking? What are you thinking? And then he would come up with, try this, and he'd have this like little tweak to it, and it would go from a level 1 to a level 10 just with a tweak, just a little tweak. And this is why you are who you are. You've always found yourself in incredible positions because you belong.
Oh yeah. Nope. He's always come across as one really smart dude.
He really is. And as smart as you think he is, he's smarter. He's smarter. But he's one of those people that teach you everything that you know,
but not everything they know.
And honestly, I don't think I could learn everything he knows. He's forgotten more about this business than I'll ever learn.
That is awesome. Well, next category I have a bit of random questions. You answer how you see fit. Some might be wrestling related, some might not be. First one, craziest in-match moment.
Craziest in-match moment. Oof. There's probably a couple. Well, honestly, probably destroying my elbow. But we'll breeze past that one and go to. I took a Canadian destroyer from Man Bun Jesus on a ton of chairs, and it went viral. Yeah, they were chairs were like they were set up so they were like,
yeah,
and the bottoms touching each other, so they were full like open chairs, and we're standing on the chairs, and I wanted to do my finish is a dude buster, so I wanted to dude buster on him on it because I had done it months before off a set of like ring stairs that I had thrown in the ring, and he and again that another guy that I wrestle him every day of the week. An incredible athlete, an incredible wrestler, great mind for this business. If you get a chance, check him out. He's amazing. But I go for the dude buster. He says no, and then he Canadian destroys me through a bunch of chairs, and the whole crowd just lost their minds. And I'm sitting there going, with my ears are ringing, and I'm like, all right, this was cool.
I can imagine. I know I'm actually talking to the manager of Jake Chris tomorrow. He was against Joel Bateman this night, but the manager, Bobby Olson, it was at another Revolver show, and he was in a death match where they had literally the whole match was crazy, but they had a Monsters Ball match right before that, and they were trying to clean it up. Jake Chris comes in, there's friggin' thumbtacks all over the place. He's like, fuck this shit, leave it, let's go. And then they start the death match, and it ends by them taking the folding chairs, then bridging 2 panes of glass on them, and then I see Bobby climbing in the ring, and he pulls out lighter fluid.
Oh, I know where this is going.
They lit the panes of glass on fire, and they both went through it, and like,
yeah, that puts mine to shame. I retract my statement. I say that is also my craziest moment ever. I watched that. I didn't see it, but I will watch it as soon as I'm done here. And I retract my statement. That everything.
Wrestling Revolver, Tales from the Ring. I believe it was like late last year, but yep, I was third row for that, and holy, it was insane.
That's awesome.
Well, right before we started recording, I was having my dinner. What would you say favorite food
Favorite food. I want to say pizza. I'm a big pizza person, but uh, it's so generic. I'm a very generic human being. I love pizza, but I love my pizza plain. I love steak, but I don't like it crazy seasoned. My fiance makes an incredible steak with just like butter and a little bit of season. She doesn't go crazy with it. So I'm a very simple person. I love sushi and Mexican food. So I'm just gonna go with sushi or Mexican food. Boom, because I can eat that every day of the week. Period.
So, yep, nope, I can't complain. I know. Oh, this is a bit of a story on this one. I am a fan of Mexican food, but my wife and I had this place that we would always go to. That literally one of two places that all she would have to do is say the name of it. I'm like, okay, are we going now?
Yeah, you're like a dog. Just yes, 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 yes.
Yes, exactly. And it was right before Christmas, like a day or two before. We go in there, and the place was looking a little smoky, but I'm like, nobody was, you know, panicking. Everybody was just sitting there eating. Like the fireplace was going. I thought maybe it was some smoke build up from the fireplace, or maybe something got a little too burnt in the kitchen. I don't.
Sure.
No, nobody was doing anything. But my wife had ordered. I was just about to, and somebody comes up and is like, something's wrong over there by the fireplace. Then they're like, they got everybody, said everybody to leave.
Oh my God.
You could see smoke coming from the sign out front.
Oh my God.
We sat in our car to wait for because we frequented there. We know some of the staff, so we're like, maybe if the staff needs a car to get into. Within a minute or two, the smoke was so thick you couldn't see back inside the damn building.
Oh my God.
The place burnt down basically.
No. Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. One of our places, they've done some great fundraising work for the staff, and the grandkids of the owner are hoping they're going to rebuild, but there hasn't really been much word of it. But man, I miss their damn food.
Oh, it's terrible. We my fiance and I we had a first date at a Mexican restaurant, and that place just before COVID hit closed down. And we devastated. That place, they just I guess they just couldn't cut it anymore. But that was a place I had visited for years, and they had moved a couple times. They moved probably like 40 minutes away from where we are, and so it was a little bit of a hike, especially in New York. Traffic's just trash. So to go 40 minutes is like you're only going like 12 miles or something.
Yeah. No, New York traffic, I can imagine.
So like we'd have to like I don't know, we'd have to do like yoga before we go just to get in a mindset. We'd have to do something, a meditation, just so we can. All right, we got 40 minutes. We got 40 minutes. We got 40 minutes. But the food is worth it. And one day we did that trip, and we get to the front door, and there's nothing in there. And we're like, "Are you kidding me? You can't be kidding me." The place was so good, and it's unfortunate that they no longer exist. But we found another place. So that place rules.
That's good. That is good. And this next question, kind of, like I said, random question. What would you say is your spirit animal?
My spirit animal. It's probably like a weird flying squirrel or something stupid. I'd like to say something cool, like a Tyrannosaurus Rex or a raptor or a condor or an eagle, but it's probably something silly, like a sugar glider or what's it, badgers? Badgers are like real vicious. Right?
Honey badgers, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a honey badger. That's me.
Okay, we'll go with that.
Real strange.
Lord. I'm trying to think of mine. You know what? Now that I think about it, I got my bulldog underneath my feet here. I'd probably say that's about me because I'm Like literally, god damn, there goes my Great Dane. But I told you she likes knocking random shit off. But my English bulldog, he's just been laying here at my feet this whole time, and I'm like, you know what? That is kind of me, just laid back, just kind of. That would probably be mine if I had to pick one.
That's awesome.
But last but not least, best advice for anybody wanting to get into wrestling.
I've had one thing said to me that rang true, and then another. I'll give two really. The one that I was training one day, and this guy came in, and he had just got signed, and I think one of the kids that was in my training class was being a little cocky, and was being a little like, what's the word? I don't know, a little cranky about his position in the wrestling business, and the dude he leans over the ropes and goes, "Hey man, wrestling doesn't owe you anything," and I went, "Damn, that's right. I'm just a spoke on the wheel. Not even a spoke. I'm just like a molecule of air in the tire. Like wrestling doesn't owe me anything," which is true. It doesn't owe anybody anything. We all fell in love with it for a reason, and our job to try to get to the top. But the best advice anybody trying to get into the business is work hard, and even when you think you're working harder, work harder.
That's good.
Working hard, double down, work harder, find a different way. I tell about it. Whatever we have these cars. We travel, hundreds of miles a weekend, and we get in a car, and I always end up in a car with like some new students and some young kids, and then there's me, and then like some older guys, and other guys have been around the business longer than me, and they always say stuff, and they're always like, "Oh, you think you're working hard now? Just wait till you're asked to work harder." And you go, "How do I do that?" Work harder, find different ways to improve yourself. It may not even be in a gym, may not even be in a ring. And that's what I learned over pandemic. You have to have that drive. You got to find that drive somewhere.
No, yeah, no, it's definitely good advice, because I mean, you think you're working hard, work harder. There's always ways that you can improve, and that just means sometimes you might have to look at, okay, well, I need to work harder. How do I do this? You find that out, and boom, you get to it.
Always something, man. It's if you're in in this day and age, if your social media is not good, and you're not posting a bunch, and you're not showing where you're going or what you're doing, and you may not be doing a lot. You may have a couple weekends off, but you gotta maybe post a promo, maybe post this, maybe that. And if maybe your social media is great, you can always get in the gym and better yourself. And maybe both of those things are great for you. Maybe your in-ring could benefit from somebody. Go find if you belong to a school, go find another school. Go find somebody that could be your mentor. Like a Matt Stryker, a Mike Mondo. They I don't know about Stryker, but I know Mondo does these online clinics, and another dude that's a wealth of knowledge, an insane wealth of knowledge. Just the people who trained him are Jim Cornette and Rip Rogers. Say no more. You're done. You don't get better than that. Plus, he's in the ring with Ric Flair and Triple H and Shawn Michaels and all these guys.
Yeah,
like, wealth of knowledge is insane. But he does $20 clinics. Spend your $20, and if you got a scratch and claw for it, hey man, go out and return cans and bottles for your $20. But you gotta better yourself. And these things, and I sent my stuff to Mondo, and I sent a promo, a match, and something else, and I think my resume, I think, to him, and he critiqued it all. And it wasn't just a generic like, hey, this could be better, this could be better, this could be better, this could be better, and then nothing after that. No, it was conversation back and forth, and it was it was super beneficial. And there's plenty of guys out there that'll do that for you. There's plenty of guys there's plenty of seminars you can go to.
Yeah.
Just think in like 2 weeks, there's a Gabe Sapolsky seminar. That's it's a little steep. It's $100, but it's right. I'm maybe an hour, 2 hours from where it is. It's worth it, man. It's you got to do these seminars. You got to learn from the guys that have been there, or the guys that have built something from nothing, like Gabe. You can't depend on the guys that you're traveling with only, and a lot of people like do that. And I did for a while. I listened to the guys I was traveling with, but eventually it becomes like an echo chamber. You're literally just spewing the same stuff over and over and over and over again, and you're not getting any better. You're stagnant. Your improvement is gone stale, and you need somebody to shake it up and go and a fresh coat of paint and change something. Just like I said with Stryker, like a small little tweak. And it was, for me, it was something that he was like, hey, try. It was a hand position for like a hold. And it was aggression on that hold. And he's like, change that aggression. And as soon as I changed that aggression, my whole match changed. And I was able to take that aggression and put it in different places. And seminars are super, like, incredibly beneficial. And like I know Beyond Wrestling, if anybody in the East Coast, like Northeast or East Coast, anywhere, Beyond Wrestling, they have Ken Doan that's there, and Santel is there, and they do like I know if you were on Wrestling Open, it's a certain thing, and then if you were never on Wrestling Open, it's a different price. But it's I've gone up there. I've gone up to Worcester, and that's 5 hours from me just to train for 3 or 4 hours, just because I was like, hey man, maybe a little bit more knowledge never hurt anybody. Like just have notebooks full of stuff. Stop learning, man. And that's all right. So that's a couple of things, a couple of little pieces of knowledge. Don't stop learning.
No, all very good advice. There's all sorts of seminars going on all around, all sorts of people. You can pick their brain for a bit, sit under the learning tree of them, and learn some stuff that you can take with you. Well, that is about all I have. Before we go, where can people find you social media wise and all that? So if they don't already have their eyes on you, they can go ahead and get them there.
I hope people follow me. I hope people look for me on Instagram. I'm joey.conway. On Twitter, it's Joey Conway _. Facebook, you just look up Joey Conway. You'll find my stupid mug. I have a YouTube channel that I just post matches on. I haven't posted in a little while. I gotta get better. See, I gotta get better at that. Something I gotta get better at. And I try to be as active as I can, and I try to respond if anybody messages me. I try to respond as fast as I can. Sometimes I get hung up in real life stuff, and sometimes I get hung up with driving 4.5 hours, 5 hours, rest driving 4.5, 5 hours to the next place. Sometimes that, and I don't respond immediately, but I try to respond as fast as humanly possible. Any like, any subscribe, any follow, any share is always huge, especially for guys like me. We always need that, because more eyes on us means more people are going to see us that may not have seen us. Like I said earlier, I'm trying to get over to the West Coast. I want to do it within the year. I was supposed to wrestle in Canada at the beginning of the year, but that fell through. So again, I'm trying to get back to Canada. So as many people as that can share my stuff and blast my stupid face everywhere. I try, as nice of an interview as this is, I'm not a nice person in the ring, and I hope that when you go look at me, that you appreciate that I'm not a nice person.
No, I can appreciate the in-ring work, and I kind of gravitate towards the guys that have that intensity, and sometimes the guys that have that intensity are not playing the nice guy when they're in the ring. So, hey, nothing against that at all.
I said it before. Business.
No, yeah,
it's
no.
not. If it's wrestling business.
Yeah, that is true. Well, that, like I said, that is about all I have. Thank you again for taking the time to talk to me tonight. And
thank you.
Best of luck out there, and look forward to seeing you giving Matt Cardona his comeuppance.
Heck yeah, man. I hope to come out by your neck of the woods soon too.
Oh, definitely. That would be awesome. And you're welcome back anytime.
Absolutely. Thank you.